Happy Arvo. Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing? Especially you, Tim. Tim sent in this video by Ashley Faye Vlogs. Go check her out. Link down below. This video is popping off. Reverse culture shocks. Returning to America after moving to Australia. So she's American, I think. Moved to Australia. Came back. Now we got some reverse culture shocks. I think that's a fascinating topic. Go check out her channel. Link down below. I'm interested. This is a long video. We'll see. I might skip around. Let's see what we got.
Me really uncomfortable or made me feel really out of place. I wanted to sit down and recap it because I just realized so many things that just made me really uncomfortable or made me feel really out of place going back to the US that previously never was an issue. As in,
how weird would that be coming back to your own country and you feel out of place?
Reverse culture shocks. So these are my reverse culture shocks of going back to the US after moving to Australia. Also, I am not in Hobart right now. I am in beautiful Canberra, and I will explain everything in the next video. But for right now, we're gonna chat culture shocks. I got a coffee.
Let's do
So
it.
this trip home, more than anything, I realized how extreme the tipping culture has gotten. So I knew that the tipping culture has become a bit more, I don't know if aggressive is the right word.
What's interesting is I know just from following along in the Australian subreddit and stuff every week is that the tipping culture in Australia has progressed from like very, very low to very low, you know? Because I see people in there complaining about tipping or being shown a tip screen at different things. Here in America, it's a whole different ballgame.
Over the last couple years, since the pandemic, like when I was growing up, I was told like, okay, if someone gives you amazing service, like table service or something like that, 10%. And then as I went into uni, it, with inflation and everything, went to 15. And then
That's a weird, like I sympathize with anybody who's working for tips, but the whole inflation thing is a little bit odd because, you know, you're already tipping a percentage of your bill. So why should, you know, if the prices go up on the bill, then that makes your tip higher, you know, even if it stays 10%. So why should the percent have to go higher on the amount you tip? It's unbelievable to me how, when I was growing up, tipping 15% was good. Now that's low. Now 20% is considered like standard, and a lot of people tip more than that.
Post-pandemic, at least where I was from in the US, it was 20%. And leaving the US beginning of 2022, I had no qualms about it. I was like, nope, this is the norm. You tip for this. And even going back to the US, because I've been back to the US a couple times since I've moved over to Australia, and it's like stood out to me a little bit, but I kind of just like put off the side, like, you know, I grew up used to it, so it's not that big of a deal. But I don't know what it was this time around that the tipping just felt so out of control. I've never been chased out of a bar aggressively for being told that I didn't tip enough.
What?
When in my opinion, I felt that I was receiving zero service at all. I had to go find my own glasses. I had to go find the bottle of wine. The customer gave it to me. And then a random person, I don't know if they worked at the bar, followed me and my brother across the street and approached us and was calling us mean names. And that's just never happened to me.
Holy crap. That's never happened to me either. Maybe that's because I'm used to a little bit of Southern hospitality. I don't know where this woman is from, but holy crap. That is ludicrous. Ludicrous. Although I will say this week, we went to a bar. It was a $10 cover just to get into the bar. I don't know if they do that down under, but you know, if it's a popular bar or if they've got live music, $10 just to get in. And on the screen, how much do you want to tip? How much do you want to tip on your cover to get into the bar? They're literally just standing at the door taking your money. That's the service they're providing. Taking your money to get into the bar. And it says, how much do you want to tip on top of the cover? That blew my mind.
Before, and it's really jarring going from Australian culture back to American culture, that's for sure. Like another example is I was at the airport and it was a self-serve kiosk and I scanned my own item. I was paying at the FPOS machine and it was like, do you want a tip? And I'm like, but who am I tipping? I went and I got the item. I'm scanning my item. There's not
anytime. Here's what it is. I think I have figured it out, especially after this bar experience. The businesses, the owners, whoever have figured out that anytime a transaction's being done with a card, to them, in their eyes, there's no downfall, there's no downside to just asking if they want a tip. Even if it's on the dumbest, most nonsensical transaction you could possibly think of. You know what I mean? Like, you could probably go to your bank and pay a late fee, and they'd be like, okay, how much do you want to tip on it? I don't know about that. But anytime you're swiping a card, they've all ticked off that box on their, point of sale software. Ask customer for tip? Yes. Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not? Even if most people say no, or if half say no, we're going to make a little more money. So might as well. Shit. I think that's the explanation. And it's ridiculous. And I gladly put down 0. 0! I'm not tipping on a cover to get into a bar.
Even like workers like around to like make sure if anyone had any questions or like if there's technical issues, like there's really no one. I'm like, who am I tipping? Am I tipping the robot? Like, I'm genuinely confused. And there's also so many like hidden service fees now in
They should be tipping you for a self-service. They're replacing their labor with you. You're doing the work. They tip you. Should give you a discount.
US that I experienced and stuff. And I also want to preface, I completely understand that there are still so many industries in the US that are severely underpaid. Well, I mean, unanimously worldwide, but specifically in reference to like the service industry in the US. I completely understand. And
yeah, but why is that? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, the rest of the world figured it out. They're going to have to pay them more. They're going to have to pay them more, and maybe that means the board of directors is going to have to take a cut on their bonus to pay their staff an extra $3 an hour. Maybe.
99% of the time, I don't have an issue tipping, but I think
this has got me fired up now.
I think now it's just become so out of control, and it's really overwhelming. Number 2, just the service industry in general is so different. The level of service, like going off the tipping thing, on top of the increased frequency of tipping in the US, I also feel like the service has just gone down severely, like the standard of service, which again, to play devil's advocate,
I kind of have that same feeling as well. I do have that same feeling. It feels like this generation that's coming in to these like service jobs, mostly Gen Z people, they're kind of like fed up with it all, and with inflation, they're like barely getting by with that job and the tips they make, and they're just like, they're not as cheerful to assist you. That's the vibe I get.
I understand and agree that service
Can you really blame them? I don't know.
Workers in the US very much so deserve to get paid more, but also I just feel like in Australia, the minimum service standard, as a result maybe of the increased wages comparatively, the service standards are just so much higher. Let me know if you...
How crazy is that? You tip less, but the service standard is higher.
Have noticed that too if you've been to both the US and Australia and have noticed differences in just like the service standards. Like I commented on this last time I went home to the US, and I think I was just not far from where I'm from in New Jersey, and there was like a kiosk that, it was like a self-serve kiosk at a coffee shop, and it kind of took me aback that the person behind the counter like didn't even greet me, didn't even look my way. I was just at like the self-serve kiosk and then asked for a tip, and I was like, I mean, I tipped, but I kind of felt a bit uncomfortable. I don't know, it would have just made me feel a bit more comfortable if you said hi or like looked up from your phone. I don't know, maybe I'm just being like really nitpicky, or maybe we're just really spoiled here in Australia with genuinely how lovely most service experiences are here. But next.
That's wild to me. That's wild. The service is better and you don't have to tip nearly as much.
Next up, reverse culture shocks.
That's messed up.
Cafe culture. Woo! Again, I've commented on this in the past, but the fact that in Australia it is so custom in so many cafes, the barista brings you your drink and you don't have to clean the table yourself afterwards, whereas in the US, most cafes that I've been to, it's custom that you go up and get the drink yourself, and then you bus the table yourself. There's bus bins, and some places even have like,
and then you tip,
sanitizer bottles and cloths to wipe down the table yourself. And also, to preface,
that's ridiculous. I've actually never seen that. You wipe down the table yourself? Man, they don't know where to stop. You know what I mean? They have no shame. It just keeps sinking lower and lower, I guess, because people will do it. They just slowly introduce these new things, these new standards. Oh, now you have to wipe off your own table. Not just throw away your trash. You have to wipe off your own table. F that.
In the US has a tipping culture as well. So when I first posted about this, a lot of people were like, well, what are you tipping for if you're cleaning the table yourself? I'm gonna leave it open-ended. Please comment below. It's just, I don't know, I just felt like this time going home, it was really disheartening because I just feel so much more welcome and at home here in Australia, and especially as time has passed, going back home, like it doesn't like feel as natural and as seamless as like previous times I went home. I mean, if you want to do like a number 4 reverse culture shocks, like drink sizes, the amount of times that I would get a coffee when I was home this last time, and they were massive. And growing up, I had like no issues about it. I was so used to it. Even the last couple times I went home, I was so used to it. And then this time, I don't know what it was, but this is massive. I ordered a small coffee, and
you know what's funny? I happened to get coffee today. And this is the smallest coffee I've ever got. Look at that. That's some European, Australian sized coffee right there. What the heck?
It is like bigger than this, and I felt like I was struggling to finish the coffee most of the time.
That's how it should be, you know? You should just consume everything orally until you physically can't anymore. That's typically how an American's mindset is.
Like I felt like I was half drinking it because the small is so massive, especially for iced drinks. Oh my god. I just feel like so spoiled here in Australia and just beyond grateful. And I'm sure there's like other reverse culture shocks that I've
spoiled by smaller drinks
noticed. And I would love to just hear in the comments like if there's anything that you've noticed like going to the US, or if you're from the US coming to Australia, because I do find that really interesting. And you guys know me, of course I'm gonna comment about it, and I love making videos about it, but it's just like, I mean, none of these topics are revolutionary, like none of these are like prime original topics, but it just really got to me, and just really,
it's always interesting hearing an individual's perspective on it. I never get tired of hearing it.
Really caught me off guard, especially getting chased out of a bar, violently yelling and calling myself, Brady, and my brother names.
That's insane. That is actually freaking insane. I just can't even, like, what? Oh my god. Like, how? I really just can't fathom. That's all. That almost sounds like assault. Chased out? I mean, what's the scenario there? She ordered a bottle of wine. This type of thing makes me mad, too. It's like, tipping a percent of the bill, regardless of what you order, has always rubbed me the wrong way because it's like, oh, yeah, I decided to get the table a nice bottle of wine. The bottle of wine was $70, and now I have to tip. Why do I have to tip $20 on top for just the bottle of wine that all you did was open it? It's not any different than cracking open a beer. But because it costs $70, now I have to pay you $20 just to do that?
Because this person didn't think that we tipped enough. Yeah, it just makes me sad because it's like, I understand both sides. I'm just going back to the tipping thing. I understand both sides to an extent, working in the service.
No, at the point that they chase you out down the street, no, I don't understand both sides. That's, at that point, they totally lost it.
Industry in the US for however many years, how much it does suck to feel like you're doing so much but getting nothing in return, like pay-wise, benefits-wise. I understand that. Obviously to an extent, because disclaimer, like everyone's situation is different. But also, coming from Australia, I'm just like, I love when I go into a cafe and people look up and acknowledge my existence or say hello. I'm not expecting like a red carpet and...
I kind of get that vibe. Like, I've actually never heard anyone talk about the service in Australia, but I just can tell it would be good. I mean, now I've heard her talk about it, so I know that's confirmed. But you guys are just kind of like nice, happy people. That's probably the number one best thing about living in Australia. It's just, you guys just seem relatively positive.
And someone to ask me about my life story, but I love a greeting. It makes me feel so welcome and so comfortable and just makes me feel heard. And I just love the experience of going to a coffee shop. You guys know me. And yeah, I don't know, I just feel like I felt like I left the US quite deflated. But I'm back in Australia.
You know what? I think that's a good place to stop. If you want to watch the rest, absolutely check it out. Link down below. It was mostly about tipping, which I could listen to. I could rant about it all day because I'm the biggest cheapskate in town, the biggest cheapskate in Indiana. So I'll talk about how much I hate tipping all day. Saw someone walking outside. By the way, I've been thinking about the news coming out of Sydney all weekend. It's just like, I saw that pop up on my phone right when it happened. Just unbelievably tragic, sad, senseless. So I don't even know what to say other than my thoughts are with you guys over there in Sydney and in all of Australia, and especially to the families of the victims and stuff. And that 9-month-old baby. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I just wanted to say something since that's so obvious. Like, I've really just been thinking about that for days, and I don't even know what else to say about it. There's nothing, it's just horrible. Horrible. So yeah, my heart goes out to you guys down there. And I hope you guys have a better week this week, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Goodbye.